Hey everyone, I'm Mark de Grasse, and welcome to our AI Expert Interview Series, where we talk to a series of experts about the application of AI in a variety of settings. Today I have a friend of mine, Melissa Kunde, and we're talking about the application of AI in terms of building your brand exposure. She's a brand strategist and one of our AI branding partners, and I figured today we could kind of talk about a specific target market, notably the healthcare industry, and how healthcare professionals can start to build their credibility online by publishing articles and really gain exposure by providing education and information to people. So, Melissa, let's get started.
I've been really racking my brain because I have a client. He's a world-renowned physical therapist, and he does the social media. He writes some blogs, he interviews, he does podcasts, but his work just isn't getting out there. And I was racking my brain because he's doing all the things right, but he's not taking the world by storm. And so and I'm a INTJ, so I'm a mastermind by nature. And so I was thinking, with AI, with everything going on, how can we help healthcare providers, healthcare innovators, tech, anybody who's wanting to make people's lives better? How do we bring their authority forward and cut through the noise? And so I've been looking at everything AI. And the thing about AI is that what used to be super duper massive, expensive, and labor intensive to do, now you can do entire systems. It does take some work, but you can do an entire system in 1/3 the time, even less than that, sometimes a quarter of the time. And that's what we kind of brought forward is my new brand authority PR flywheel for people who want to really get out there and break through.
I love that. A lot of times people think that it's just about, posting stuff or just posting
Yeah.
kind of random things on social media. But even though, AI is coming and some people question the value of SEO, it's still very prevalent. And I know with your methodology, you're actually taking advantage of some of these large corporations that are funding the AI change, but they're still sending tons of traffic to people who know how to, publish correctly.
Absolutely. I mean, one of the things that we figured out is what's the hardest thing? It's to get traffic. You want eyeballs. But when you buy advertising, guess what? That only lasts as long as you're willing to buy advertising. If you post a social media post, it could be awesome. And occasionally you might get a ton of hits, but it's consistency on social media. And it might take, I think it was Alex Hermosi said that it took him years to actually get a following. So it's not something you're going to get immediate. And then, of course, I'm all for blog posting and all of that. But that also, if you're doing the long tail, is a process you have to commit to. And they're all sort of in their own silo. I mean, you can sort of connect them, but they're disconnected too. So this process with AI that I've pulled together really takes this idea of creating a article authority ecosystem and using big publications, high domain publications like CEO Weekly or Forbes or any other type of high domain company, and getting your article on there because that's eyeballs and it stays. And then you use the long tail keyword thing, write the blog in your website, and then you link them.
Yeah. Easy
Amazing.
as that.
Right. And both of those articles you put out there with social media. But the cool thing is that that article never stops being there on the net. It just keeps on creating momentum. And then if you connect it with a similar complementary article, that's super powerful. And it's your own thing. So you can do a call to action or give them the next first offer. But we're not done yet. The trifecta is also creating articles in LinkedIn. So you write a great article that is adjacent to the one you got published and the one that you put on your blog, and you link it to your blog and to the article and to other authority people. And now you've got all three articles diving deeper, bringing your customers into a customer journey, but you're also in like LinkedIn's high authority. You're in a high authority publication. And if you start doing that consistently and using those articles on social media, guess what? You have a brand authority flywheel. It's it's simply awesome for people who want to break through and they don't want to do. It's hard to get on TV. It's hard to get on radio. It's hard to break through TikTok, LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook all at once. But this is a system that keeps on working for you. And that's why I love it. But the best part about it is that this used to be massively labor intensive because writing articles is hard. And we have a formula. And so we take all that pain away. You just have to be smart. We do the rest.
Oh, I love that. Well, you know me, I love systematic processes, and consistency is like the basis of everything that we teach at the academy. And a lot of people don't realize that, yes, if you could build a following on, say, YouTube, but the amount of work that it takes to build your kind of YouTube video formula, I mean, it could take years. I've seen, even fun, not the healthcare is not fun, but even that kind of entertaining content, if you're trying to make that happen, I've seen people work for a decade even to make it work, versus you, who has a formula and you've done this for a bunch of different industries and professions, and for tons of different professionals themselves. You have this systematic process, but a lot of people would say, like, okay, well, I need results right now. What kind of time frame would you say they could start to see some traffic and start to see some kind of credibility building from publishing these pieces?
Well, the cool thing is I could literally get somebody published in different types of, the most important thing is a high domain ranking publication. It depends on the industry, but I can get somebody published. If they gave me if we went through the content right now, I could get them published in a week.
Wow.
Now, the next thing we need to do, though, but there's always before that. Yeah, if you got content, I can get it published. But what we really need to do, it always comes down to strategy, right? What do you stand for? Who are you about? What are the types of authority articles that we need to build? And we look, not sort of, but we need to look at the different articles and how we're going to present them so they work together. But to get you out there in the public, bam, right now. I could do it right now. If you've got something good to say and you want people to hear about it, let's go.
I love that. Well, and you actually did it for us, right? We did that kind of co-branded press release piece, and you had it published, and it actually got tons of traction. I think that the first day that you published it and then shared it. And I think that's something that's a little bit different than it was before, where you had to wait for quite a while for it to get indexed. But because you know how to do it, and you go with those high ranking websites versus, say your average business website, which might not be ranked at all. You're kind of, gaming the system a little bit, right?
Yeah, I'm gaming the system. That's why I'm so excited about it. I know that every marketer in the world says I cracked the code, but guess what? I really did crack the code. And I'm so excited because people out there, know so many clients who are bringing innovative ideas to the world, and they need to hear them, and they need to break through the noise. And that's why I'm so excited about this. AI, branding, storytelling, and using the system to break through so that great voices can be heard is what I'm all about. It's exciting.
Love that. I used to have my agency for 6 years before I was at Digital Marketer. And that was my goal, was always like, okay, I'm going to train the business owner how to make all this content themselves. That way we have an internet full of, professional content instead of internet full of marketing content, which marketers wrote for their clients. And so it sounds like, and I was not successful. I think I had 300 clients and it worked 5% of the time because I still needed the content from them. And it was just really hard to make them do it. They're doctors or other lawyers, different types of professionals. They didn't have time for it. But I think with your service combined with AI, which makes your service way more affordable than it probably would have been before, I think that's
Oh,
the
yeah.
the magic formula, right?
Yeah, let's just go back a few years. So I had working companion who worked for another company when I was in the radio industry, and all this guy did was go to big businesses and write thought leader content for
Mm.
them. And it wouldn't even necessarily guarantee that it would get posted on a high-ranking domain. It was just something that would go on their blog. And at that time, one article that was thought leadership article a month was 10 grand
Oh,
because it
wow.
took so much time. But with the miracle of AI and this process, one, I can literally have AI my talk to my client, get the information from them, so they're just having a conversation, extract that information from them, and then use our formula. It goes in first draft. I edit it, we send it back, and it's done.
Oh, I love that. Well, it's
Isn't that
well,
awesome?
the funny part is that the content production is one side, and I think that's what everybody thinks about, like, oh, I got to write an article. But the actual hard part is the optimization, the distribution, and then the consistency, which you talked about. It's not just one article, and we talk about that all the time, right? The content series that we teach at the academy, it's not just one piece because nobody wants to subscribe to one piece of content. They want to see, okay, somebody
Right.
has a lot that I have. So do you think I know the service that you're offering has four pieces. Is that kind of the magic number for kind of establishing yourself?
Yeah, well, actually on Black Friday, I'm putting together the offer where I'm doing 4 published articles. And then I'm also going to create, I think we're going to create a training, but the
Mhm.
people that start, I will train them on how to write the adjacent articles for on their website and on LinkedIn. We'll also do that for people. That's part of our service, but I get it. Sometimes you want to do it yourself. I'm going to show you how to do it. But there is a certain way to write an article because I'm not looking at this like, oh, I'm just going to write a blog. I look at it a couple different ways. So first, we want to look at Google's EAT.
Mm.
We want expertise, experience, authority, and trustworthiness. Those are very important. But then we want to look at Forbes and Fast Company and art publications that people like to read. And there's a style that matters. So it's not a sales pitch. It's an information interest piece.
Mm.
So we've created a few custom GPs that help get us in that direction. So our customers can come across as smart, but not too salesy.
Mm.
That's the important part.
Well, I think it's going, information first, value first, and education, which is something I always advocate for. It's, you're not just trying to, change people's mind or manipulate their behavior. You're saying, hey, here's some good content made by a professional, and they're teaching you something useful. And then, oh, by the way, if you need some more help, I'm around, or you need a speaker, or, you want something else, I'm here to provide it. But without that credibility in the first place, or with kind of a sales first approach like you were talking about with advertising, that's kind of the obnoxious in your face way, versus this way feels more
Yep.
organic, more natural, and like you said, it's evergreen. So I love it. I think it's a great deal.
You know what? And that's what I love about it. The fact that it is evergreen. Once you publish this trifecta in January, it's still working in December. It doesn't
Mhm.
stop. It's still working with each other. And of course, if you want to put the extra icing on this, then the articles that are performing well, yeah, you can put a little money on Google or LinkedIn to drive a larger audience if you want to do that. But you know that it's always working, for you behind the scenes and it doesn't go away. That's what I love. That's what I love about it because I hate doing things where I put all this work into it and then it disappears.
Yep. All done.
Crazy.
Well,
Right.
marketers,
All
we do
done. It
that stuff
keeps
all
on
the time.
working. Yeah, it comes and goes. But when it talks about the articles, the one thing I thought you said was interesting is when I interview people, I like to find the little antidotes, the little micro stories of their discovery. And when they tell it first person,
Mm,
because that goes beyond just we did this and we did this, we did this. It helps people personalize and understand where they're coming from. And that's part of our process that makes us a little bit different. It we have the lesson and the takeaway, but there's also a micro story
mm.
in there every now and then that can create big impact
Yes.
because we
Well,
want the reader to be like, "Oh wow, aha. Oh, that's interesting."
Well, and I love the story piece too, because we talk about, especially now, because everybody is using AI maybe improperly sometimes, and it doesn't feel genuine and it doesn't feel real,
Right.
mainly because it's not. I like this approach because you are putting that realness into it, and I think the story and everything that goes into it, in addition to the facts and the useful tips. Are what people are really going to gravitate towards, especially as everything gets even more AIE with people who aren't
Right.
necessarily using it the way that we teach and do for other people.
It really, I know that people say, "Oh, it's the story." And then I guess the new thing for branding is the vibe.
Oh, vibe is the
And
new term.
the vibe is the new thing. Like you don't need to tell the story, but you need to have a vibe. But
Mm,
even in healthcare or anything else, you need to have that way for them to connect with you, for them to understand, everybody's selling all the time, whether they like it or not. And so when you're talking to a colleague and you say, "Hey, I did this and this and this and this didn't work, but then I did this and this is exactly what happened." What happens? Your colleague goes, "Oh, wow, that's it," or "That makes sense." And that's what we're just trying to pull into this flywheel is, wow, that makes sense, and that conversation. So I think that this is authenticity is definitely a part of this process.
no, I love it. Well, and I think the more you can put that in there, the better, and your knowledge and everything else. We're not trying to trick people into signing up for healthcare services. We're trying to say, hey, this is a professional that has professional opinions and experience, and now they're sharing that information free of charge, just to help you, and then maybe get some exposure in the meantime. So I think it's a great service, and I think you've done an amazing job kind of packaging it in a way that's both effective in terms of getting people immediate traffic and kind of that long-term benefit from evergreen content, but also it's understandable because the usual option you hear from marketers is, I'll make 100 pieces of content for you, and it's like, how good are those
Right.
pieces of content going to be?
Right? I mean, I love marketers and I think a lot of them do a great job. But what I wanted to do was turn it around and make all that great work and that great job work for itself and build upon itself. And as I said, I'm a mastermind. I've sat back, I've watched the system now for 10 years. And so you're not going to jettison best practices. You got to
Mhm.
keep that.
Yep.
Whoops, I just lost my microphone. Whoops.
Thanks.
You want to keep those best practices, but AI can help those best practices and the way the platforms are going. This is the dawn of a new age for people who want to break through and their thought leadership to come through the noise. And if they get on this system now,
Sky's the
it's
limit.
an opportunity of a lifetime. Yeah, the sky's the limit. And that's why I'm so excited about it.
I
Because I
love
really want to help great people connect with the people they can serve.
it.
And that's what we're all about, right?
Oh yeah, well that's a fantastic mission and vision for people, because that's who we want to help. And I'll tell people what happens when you don't do articles, when you don't get out there and publish content, is the people who shouldn't be publishing the content and are more worried about making money and maybe manipulating people, will be doing it instead of you. So it's almost a responsibility as a professional, for you to get out there,
Right?
get the content out there, and really make an effort to help people however you can, which you love to do anyway.
You
So
know,
good to go.
Exactly. It's the old analogy that McDonald's isn't the best hamburger,
Mhm.
but they market
Best
worldwide.
marketer.
And so they sell a gazillion hamburgers. Well, that's the same thing here.
Hey, but I'll tell you
The
what,
best,
nobody's eating McDonald's anymore, or they're eating a lot less. They're shutting, 500 stores this year. And so I think that is also a good analogy for what's happening. Those people who, the big
right?
mouth, know nothing people are going to start to get, subverted by people who actually know what they're talking about and are now sharing the information using services like yours.
I'm excited about it. So, all those people that want to bring their voice forward, that's what we're about.
Well, let's do it. Well,
Awesome.
thank you so much for coming on,
Let's
Melissa.
do it.
This has been fantastic. Again, I love your program. I know you didn't say it was out quite yet, but hopefully by the time we publish this, it will be. Where can people learn more about it?
Well, it's coming out on Black Friday. That'll be the first day it out. I'm only have 40 positions for this initial offer. Well, it'll still be going into 2025, but this initial offer is only 40 businesses. And you can go to kukomedia.com, or you can go to buildauthoritypr.com on Black Friday, because that's when it's going to be live. Or you can find me on Facebook and LinkedIn and ask me, and I'll get you all connected. So that's the process. We're waiting until Black Friday to unveil it.
Excellent. Well, pay attention to that. We'll be sharing the link as well. In the meantime, we'll go ahead and share your LinkedIn profile and your website in the description of this video. So everybody, follow Melissa. She knows what she's talking about, has, decades in media and radio, which I actually love, because that's the root of communication in terms of marketing. And I think that's a fantastic perspective that you have because of that experience. So it's going to be great.
All right. Thanks, Mark. And maybe one time we can talk about radio too, because radio
Oh, we
has
are.
decades of 1 minute storytelling that I think a lot of people would love to hear. So maybe we can explore that some other time.
Oh, yes, definitely, because we need to talk about podcasting, and I think all of the all of that radio stuff is extremely applicable right now, and we'll be definitely coming out with a bunch of content on that. So thank you so much, Melissa, and thank you for tuning in. This has been the first ever AI expert interview by the AI Branding Academy. We're going to be doing lots of these, so go ahead and subscribe, and you'll see a lot more content like this soon.